So, hello. I thought it would be fun or, I don't know, interesting to do a little video check in. Maybe you do these periodically if you like. Just kind of wanted to let you know what is going on here in India in light of the whole coronavirus situation. And kind of what we're doing to stay safe and to stay occupied and to stay mentally fit and healthy and all that good stuff. So today is March the 22nd, and it is about 1 in the afternoon. It's a beautiful day, as you can see behind me. Blue sky. It's like 83 degrees. It's gorgeous weather. The irony with this whole thing is that in India, at least in Delhi, the best time to be here is really March and October, but March is the best month. So, for this to all be going on during that one sweet spot every year where it's not too hot and not too polluted, this is really Delhi's Goldilocks zone. So, bummer, but we are lucky. We've got this excellent terrace, so at least we get to come up and sit outside and breathe the surprisingly not that fresh air. I'll get into that, but first, let me just kind of give you some numbers based on what I know so far, just to provide some context. So, India is doing okay for now. That's kind of been the theme for a while. The numbers haven't shifted much. We do have over 300 cases in India. I'm going to check that. Just want to make sure I'm getting all this stuff right. India, and I'm using the Worldometer website. So India's got 332 confirmed cases, 5 deaths. That seems hard to believe, and it probably is too good to be true. Testing here is going quite slowly. They're just not ramped up. They don't have the resources. So the consensus from everybody that I've talked to is that the numbers are probably quite a bit higher, and there is undoubtedly community transmission happening at this point. But that being said, we aren't seeing a huge lineup of sick people. So we're kind of, I think, in that in-between space where the numbers are going to go up a lot soon. We're going to start to see sort of a burst here, I think. Don't quote me, but that's my take. But we're just not quite there yet. So that's kind of the situation on the ground for the moment. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is today is actually the Janta curfew, which was called for by Modi, the Prime Minister. He called for it on Thursday night, I believe. So essentially it's the people's curfew, and it is a one-day trial. The government has asked countrywide people to stay indoors between the hours of 7 a.m. this morning and 9 p.m. tonight. And then, interestingly, there's a call for everyone to go to their balconies at 5 p.m. this evening and clap and come together with some camaraderie, and especially cheer the folks who are on the front lines and who are kind of exposing themselves the most to help mitigate this crisis right now. So it is odd that it's not even a one-day curfew. It's a 14-hour curfew, which obviously doesn't do anything. But the consensus again amongst everyone that I've spoken with is that this is just a test run, a trial. They'll either likely roll out a more permanent curfew situation for some period of time, or they'll just spring it on us. I don't know. It's hard to tell what's going to happen. So, anyways, so that's what we're doing today. We're were obliging, and I took Summit, our pup, out this morning for a little walk at 6. So we got in as much fresh air as we could in the park, which is really just behind our house, like a block and a half behind our house. So it is an easy walk. I don't have to come into contact with anybody to get there, and I'm hoping that we can continue walking in the park for her bathroom needs and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see on that front. But today I'm kind of trying to stick by the numbers and stay indoors even with the dog during that time frame. We've got, again, this terrace with some artificial grass for her, so if she really needs to pee, she should be able to do that. Anyway, so that's kind of a lot of the bookkeeping stuff. But what is it like to be under home isolation in India? Well, for us, this is not day one. We have been locking ourselves down, as I'm sure most of you have, for a while now. We really began in earnest on Thursday of last week. So I think that's the 12th. And that's when Sarah's office kind of instituted a test work from home day. And on the day that they had the test work from home, they decided, the management team decided that they would just institute a permanent work from home policy. So once Sarah came home and started working from home, we just decided that that's it. We're just going to, follow the same guidelines ourselves. We've been watching everything, obviously, in Italy, and we've been watching everything in the States, and it just seems like the smart thing to do is to stay in. So that's what we've been doing for the past 8 days now, 9 days. Let's see, Thursday. Wow, it's been at least 9 days, man. Anyways, we've had a couple trips out. I've gone to the market once. I bought a big screen TV to keep ourselves occupied. So we've had a couple trips out of the house. I went near the embassy yesterday, the U.S. Embassy, for some stuff I needed to take care of. But by and large, it's been, locked inside the whole time or up here on the terrace. So, surprisingly for me, it hasn't really been crazy because I've been sort of working from home for the past 16 months anyways. And so while this is definitely a lot more time at home than I'm used to, it wasn't as big of a transition. I think for Sarah, definitely has been a transition. But I don't know. For me, it's on some level, it's kind of been good. I've really been productive. We've been spending a lot of quality time together. Obviously, we're challenged, and this is emotionally difficult. But we really are making the best of it, doing everything we can to try and stay positive and stay focused. So I've been baking tons of sourdough bread. We've done some sourdough pizza. We're making pita tonight because we're making some hummus as well and tzatziki. We've been pickling vegetables. We've been stocking up our pantry for the past couple weeks. Just being so close to China and watching everything that's been happening and knowing that, India is a tough place anyways, let alone in a time of crisis. We felt it prudent to just try and do a little bit of stocking up and preparation. And I'm glad we did. We don't have large grocery stores really here in India, or at least in Delhi. Everything is kind of a decentralized, system. So little fruit guys and little vegetable stands and, small shops that have got packaged goods and other shops that have, cleaning supplies and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like there's been a run on toilet paper here or you've got to stand in line to get into the Safeway. Because there isn't really like the one store in the neighborhood. So that's the encouraging news. But it can be hard to find things sometimes on a good day. So we took it upon ourselves to stock up with some shelf-stable products that we knew we would need. This is not a country that does frozen vegetables or canned vegetables, for example. So how do you fill your pantry with those types of vitamins and nutrients? So we've been coming up with some creative solutions. A lot of it involves canning or pickling stuff ourselves. Baking. We've got the time. We both enjoy doing that stuff. So that has actually, I think, been pretty cool. and delicious. And I've been homebrewing, which is not new. I've done that for a long time, but it seemed like a good time to put some extra beer in the pantry as well. So this recipe I did was kind of based on a Deschutes red chair, which is a spring kind of I guess it's a pale ale, almost an IPA. And it comes out in the spring, and it sort of commemorates spring skiing and all that stuff. And I just remember, every time I would see that in the cooler at home, I knew it was, it meant that winter was over and that we were turning a corner, and it was always a beer that I looked forward to kind of sort of set a marker for the changing of the season. So seeing as that is kind of where we are time wise now, I decided it'd be fun to make a clone or a similar style beer. Now, granted, it's nothing like Red Chair at the end of the day because availability of ingredients, so I had to make a lot of substitutions. But that's no worries. The intent is still there, and it still makes me happy. So it is currently bottle conditioning right now, building up some carbonation, and it should be ready to pop open not next Tuesday, but maybe next Friday. So so that'll be good. And I took a little sip when I was bottling, and it's delicious. Definitely the best beer I've brewed in India by far. So so that's exciting. So tons of not tons of exciting news. In fact, not a lot of exciting news. Most of the news is pretty grim these days, and it's really hard. But we're hanging in there, and we're doing the best we can. We're trying to stay positive. I mean, we've got oodles of Netflix, and we got tons of books, and I mean, I one of the things I've been thinking about is how lucky we are to be living in this time right now. When we have so much access, we have internet and fast internet. We can stay connected with family and friends. I found that I have maybe been connecting more with family and friends as a result of this. I've been talking more to people and checking in and seeing how people are doing and sharing tips and finding out what other people are doing to stay sane and healthy during this time. So yeah. Meditating, running on the treadmill, baking. I mean, there really isn't a dull moment. And, I thought we would be watching a ton of TV, but that's not really been the case. We've been engaged just in spending quality time together and keeping the house afloat. So, yeah, that's kind of where we are right now. Just a couple other notes about, our decisions so far. You may be wondering why we are still here in India, and it's a very good question. But the truth is, this all happened so fast, and by the time it started to make sense to question where the best place to be was, it was already kind of too late. The last flight to the States left last night at about 10:50 p.m., and that's the United flight from Delhi direct to Newark. The San Francisco direct flight was canceled earlier in the week. Yeah, we decided to say partly because international travel is just a bad idea right now. There's really no need to expose ourselves unnecessarily to the risk of contracting the disease. If we were to travel, we would end up in New Jersey in a hotel for 2 weeks, presumably. Which, we don't really have any business in New Jersey. Like, that doesn't get us any closer to where we want to be. We don't have a house to go back to. Our family would all be equally on lockdown. So in a lot of ways, the only real benefit to going home would have been access to healthcare, which is definitely something that makes us nervous here. But this is where our home is. This is where we got all of our pantry stocked up. We got all of our cleaning supplies. We got our dog here, which obviously is a logistical challenge if we were to leave. And we have a safe space. Like, we are very, very fortunate. And I've been spending a lot of time this past week just sort of counting our blessings about the things that we are, very lucky for. Yeah, I mean, as trying as these times are, we have a lot of blessings. So we are safe here. We have a big house. We've got a lot of, cleaning supplies. We've been sanitizing all the doorknobs and light switches and washing our hands, doing all of that. So I figured that, we decided that, based on our circumstances, while it's really hard to predict what the right answer is, our gut just said that this was the smartest place to be. And so that's the choice we made. And now we're living the choice. The flights are done, at least for the time being. And we're just taking it one day at a time. India will undoubtedly peak at some point. It's going to happen. I just can't imagine it not happening. Expect to see some really horrendous numbers. I mean, this is the second most populated country in the world, behind China. So with 1.3 billion people, it's really easy to imagine numbers getting out of hand here. But again, it's think about numbers in relation to per 100,000 people, and I hope that when you look at the statistics that way, it's not quite as scary. And obviously, and again, unfortunately for many, many people, there is a huge spectrum of difference in terms of access to healthcare, access to sanitation, access to food, access to, all the basic things that are important. And, we're very fortunate. We have, more than we could need, honestly. We're sharing in our good fortune as much as we can, with for example, our house help who is staying home. We're providing food and salary and all these things because it's important for their family. Anyways, rambling on, but the point is, it's going to be scary here. I just can't imagine it kind of fizzling away. God, I hope it does, but I just am preparing for a scenario that's far more dramatic than that. But we're in a really good spot. I feel really confident about where we are, the preparation we've done, and what we have in front of us to keep our minds sharp and to stay focused and positive. I'm calling our house like our little space station with a patio. So if you think about it that way, people do that for years at a time, sitting in a tin can orbiting the planet. It's not easy. Not anybody can do it, or not everyone can do it, I should say. I don't know how we'll fare, but a positive mind is the first thing you can do. So I think that's what we're trying to do. I am, here. I got all the time in the world, and I would be happy to, field any questions, answer any questions, talk about whatever, the weather. I was thinking about doing a sourdough course. I've been reading a gazillion headlines about sourdough, so clearly that as a concept is sort of popped in the zeitgeist right now. And it's a wonderful time to bake. I mean, anytime's a great time to bake, but now especially, getting good nutrients. So happy to do a demo on making sourdough in India. Happy to talk about anything. We all got time to spare, right? So with that being said, let me also just say I hope you are well and healthy, and statistically I know that it's going to be really hard for everybody, and really, really, really hard for a lot of people. I hope that you fare well, and that your loved ones and your friends all fare well. I'm hopeful that our loved ones and our friends are going to do fine. We just all got to be smart and thoughtful about our actions and our decisions, and I think we'll get through this. But I just want you to know that I might be a gazillion time zones away, but I've never felt more connected than I do now, and I want you to know that I'm thinking about each and every one of you and hoping for the best. So stay in there and stay strong, and share with me what's going on in your world. I'd be curious to see. So take care, wash those hands, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Bye.